Hello, this is the branch vlog for 0.2.2.2, the persistent levels one, this one. I've already done persistent storage, persistent NPCs and enemies, so the only thing left was items that are not within a storage container, so like freestanding items like this. So while it's persistent levels, the only work I've done is on items because it's the last remaining thing. Right, so probably won't be too long. I did record this once before, but there was a bug that happened when I collected the cheeseburger of all things, and I figured it out now. It only took me like 5 minutes. I reloaded it up after the kids went to bed today, and it defaulted to the inventory blueprint, which must have been the last thing I loaded up before I just, I was like, I can't figure this out on the original video. And then I noticed this load collected actors. A bit of background, this was the first tutorial series I did like a year and a half ago, so this bit is my doing. This is how I save it now. But this sort of stuff, this in, I mean, technically I made it, didn't I? But I did it with the tutorial. So I click this one open. It's normally like that. So you see, it's get all actors of class BP pickup actor, which I also use BP pickup actor currently for all these things. And then you have a little drop down to say which master item or master equipment, which is a child of master item, I want to use. But when you leave a room and come back, it looks at your inventory, sees if you've got the ID. If you do have the ID, it like sets the actually, let's read it properly. So it looks at each one of the things you've collected in your inventory, pulls out the ID. Does it contain the ID? If it does contain the ID, true, then the local bool is true, and then it does the rest. I think this is to do with like if you've got like a stack of maybe like 3 items and you've already got one and you collect 3, obviously you can have a 1 overflow. I believe the rest is to do with an overflow. So then then it would go into a second, the remainder 1 would go into the second slot. But there's a little issue here where it destroys it. I don't believe we need this anymore because it's just loading, it loads collected actors, but collected actors is already loaded via the game instance now, so it's repetitive. So if I don't normally spend this much time on a bug. Let's put it back. Let's play it. I'll show you what it does. This was a long-standing issue as well. I could never figure out what it was. It's been there for ages. Let's pick the cheeseburger. It should do it. So if I go away, come back, it should flick it and then wipe everything. There, see that? That was the issue last night. Because the inventory gets loaded after the player gets loaded and the world gets loaded. Well, the world gets loaded, then the player gets loaded, then game instance, then the inventory. So that's why there's a delay and you see it flicker. Because if it came from the game instance and it was an issue, it it'd be quicker. You see, I don't think you'd see it. So let's try it again. For some reason it was the cheeseburger. I think cheeseburger was the first one that had ID 1 and the rest of them default to ID 1. So it's just, oh, okay, wipe the rest. You've already picked up ID 1. There you go. So there now. So what I mean by that is, you see ID, I don't use it. It's just throwback from when I did the initial stuff. So they've all got ID 0. So when you come back into the well, the inventory's going, oh, you've already picked up ID 0. Okay, so then destroy actors. So you've already picked up ID 0. Okay, so destroy actor. A bit more logic in between, but then essentially that's the start and the end. That's the outcome. So I can just clip it. I won't fully delete it yet, I'll just clip it because that's it. So that stops that bug. So now everything's persistent. Let me just grab a bunch of stuff. Let me show you. So that's orthographic, that's perspective. I press F3 just like normal, like proper lighting. F2 just like flat, just like bad lighting. As if there's no lights already. It is on the bug list to fix. So we go out, we go in. There you go. It's still got the stuff that we haven't picked up. Problem solved. Tried to fix it last night on the fly, but yeah. I thought it was something I broke, but it's not something I broke. It's functionality working, but at a different time for a different purpose under different parameters. Like under a different rule set, a different plan. So you've already seen how I do add, remove, load, save, and deload functionality for NPCs and enemies. I use the same for items. It's not on master item though, it's on pickup actor, because pickup actor is the first thing in the world, and it selects from master item or master equipment, which I said is like master equipment is a child of master item. And there you go. See, parent class master item. That has no parent class because it's its own parent. So I put everything on pickup actor. Usual thing, add uniques, remove it index. So I feed it an index. So I say which element in the array it's in. Load it in, save it in. If it's already there, then remove it, then add it. Otherwise, just add it. And just deload. So on begin play, a bit destructive. I mentioned it a couple of times. I load it and then I deload it. Because I hand place stuff rather than I getting it to spawn like off a list. So not the best way, but when by default, if you look on the left, it's not already collected because it's here. It's not already collected, is it? You load it. Well, what you're loading in are items you've already collected. So then it feeds in, just saves the variables. Don't need that now. And then deload goes, okay, so where the IDs match and it's already collected, true, then destroy it. The way I get that to go true is on the event graph. This is where the old logic comes in, tutorial logic. That's normal. This bit's normal. I added in make struct, the item struct, and then I do add items, and then you see I tick collected. So that's how it becomes collected, and that's how the persistence happens. Technically, it loads it and then deloads it quicker than you can see it, but going forward, I'll refactor it to just not even load it. But I need to load the variables you see because I need to load these already collected information as well as everything else before I deload it. Otherwise, it'll always be already collected, no, and then it'll just never be collected. Similar sort of logic here. Current level is just being put in as a placeholder for future, like this is version 1 functional. Version 2 will be like a refactor of the code, so I'll just make it a bit slicker. But yeah, so that's placeholder. Add in the game instance, and then I feed the information from the game instance. The only other thing to show you is I just create a struct, which you'll already notice the style of the struct from doing make struct here, where you just drag it off and you just like make struct. These will be unique in this case, unlike the NPC and the enemies, because the actor transform. So the transform is the location, the rotation, and the scale here. This right here, where my mouse is. Unless I make the items move, like it's some sort of poltergeist moving the items, in reality, that will always stay the same. That unless I do an RNG, the ID will always stay the same, or the R&D true flag and the amount will always stay the same. So essentially everything stays the same. So it will be a true add unique and a true remove on index. There shouldn't be, and like there shouldn't be any repetitive saves over. You wouldn't have two rows of almost identical items, but one's moved 1 pixel on the y-axis, and then that would create a separate row in this case. But because it's not moving, it won't. So unlike NPCs and enemies, we won't have redundant rows. That's why it's a version 1 functional, but not a version 2, clean. But that's it. That's all I did. It works for this level, works for all the levels. Everything passes through. It was the last bit of persistence I needed to do. Quest stuff already works from way back when. So does the storage. Yeah, I've rejigged this a bit. Last thing I will say is I thought this was going to take me 2 weeks. The previous branch took me 2 days because I just blitzed it. I thought this would take me a few days into January. It took me 25 minutes. The bug took me longer to figure out than it did actually make the code. The code literally took 25 minutes because it's almost identical to this one, to that branch. So next, I've started this branch, the action loop. So I'll fully upgrade the weapons. I've added an extra functionality in how it let me show you. It'll break, but I can show you what I'm doing. So you've got two weapons, right? You've got your equipment, you've got your inventory. You right click equipped, or you can drag it in any way you want. It'll just go to the right one. What would be the active weapon there? Would it be the last one you've put in? Would it be the one you've already got in? So it's just setting up, doing the last bit of that functionality. And I can't remember which button, but before I did enhanced input, which was this one, I had a button which would allow you to choose which one was equipped. Like that. Now there you go. The gun, the handgun is there. You equip that, and then you right click that, and then PDW is there. So you can see it's buggy. I've changed some stuff, and obviously I've messed about. Don't know what I did there. I clicked something and I created an infinite loop. I don't even know what I freaking clicked, except from I think like border. But so it's that sort of stuff I'll be working on. Other things like, let me go to issues, stuff like this. So when you kill the enemies, they won't destroy. They'll just be death animation, and they load back in. They'll be death animation still. They'll just be still dead on the floor, and then, unless you've shot them in the head, which you can see number 17. That's how old this is. Bearing in mind we're up to like 800s odd. It's one of the first things I did. And then number one, the first issue I ever did was this. Zombies respawn if not dead, if dead but not brain dead. So essentially, they're dead on the floor, persistent, like that first issue pinned, the one on the left, and then the middle one, but you haven't shot them in the head, so there's a chance they come back. And then this is what he's talking about. A bit like the Crimson Heads if you don't set them on fire or like blow the head off, but just in order to do like headshots. Honestly, this is the first one I ever did. So the 2nd of January last 2024 was when I first finally moved to like GitHub. I got Git LFS up, right faff, getting all ready. So yeah, this branch we'll see issue number 1 being done, technically task, but yeah, number 1 being done. And then what else? Just click that and go to preview. So that's the action loop. Crafting, I've already got crafting stuff set up. It'll just be fleshing it out. I've played around with like food crafting, but I've lost a lot of recipes. I thought the recipe might be causing an issue here because Cheeseburger's got a recipe on it. That wasn't the case at all. So just fleshing out the recipes. Missions, I've already got quests in there. I've already got the ability to store stuff. I need like quest items. You pick them up, you kill a certain amount of enemies. I just need to add them in. Um, like a proof of concept. Obviously, there won't be like finished article sort of thing, but good enough for a proof of concept. Good, nice little loop. And then you could see I've moved them up a bit there. Then on January, February, that'll just be mostly like a thinking branch because making the levels will be that one, and then the door variants will be that one. That's just making it work with 3D lights. And then these, uh, I need to create extra widgets for computer interaction like radio pager. I've already got a map thing up, but just flesh it out a bit. I made the map thing ages ago. Just you know, you go to computer, you press E, for example, it'll just pop up a little computer screen. A bit, I begrudge describing it like this, but like Fallout 3, Fallout 4, and it loads up the computer, when you're going to interact with it. It's a real gross. I really don't like it. But that sort of thing, you press it, it loads it up. A bit like Deus Ex when you go into the computers. That's a better example. Like, is it Mankind Divided and Human Revolution? And even the classic Deus Ex number one. Deus Ex number one had like a brilliant computer setup. I really like that. Thinking about it, I'll probably focus it more on like Deus Ex 1 style. And then yeah, pager, radio. Think like a bit like Resident Evil 1 with the radio, even though you didn't really use functionality. Signalis used a radio, really cool, tweaking the radio functionality. I guess Fallout kind of did as well, didn't it? You could like play around with the frequencies. Maps and photos, the usual stuff. Like documents. I haven't got documents in here, have I? Huh. Oh, one sec. Let me just add it in. And doc. Interesting, I didn't do it. Map, photo, and document. Document. I don't know if you think of what I'm thinking, but I'm thinking Resident Evil 1. When you press the right arrow and it does like that as you change like the pages. Loved it. Loved it. Really going for that with like the little background icon of like the file you've got up, and then it's just like white text on like a black background. Real slick, real minimalistic and slick. That's the sort of thing I'm going for. So you see, I've added some things in the pipeline. These are all new since the last branch. I think I've done the numbers. One time I didn't do the numbers. um, but yeah, that's it. Thank you for your time. Hopefully you had a nice Christmas and Happy New Year. The next time you see me, that's when that branch starts, but that's probably going to finish first week of Jan. I get some stuff fixed. Right, I'll see you later. Bye bye.